Anyway, we're starting a new series of conversations today called No Two Masters. And so before you freak out that we are going to be talking about, how much, anytime churches bring up like money, there's this like weird thing where it's like, oh, here we go. Here we go. I've tried church before. It always comes down to how can I give my money to this church? Give me a break. It's not what we're going to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about money, but we're not going to talk about like how you can help this church more with your finances. No, actually, what the goal of this is to help all of us have a better relationship with our things. That's basically the goal. So today we are going to be talking about trusted treasures in our series called No Two Masters. And really we have to ask ourselves a question like, when is enough enough? Like you and I have to be able to answer that question because a lot of stress and anxiety is birthed out of the fact that like enough is generally never enough. In fact, if you read about like the guys that are doing like the day trading, there's people that have lost like billions and billions and billions of dollars because the billions of dollars that they had wasn't enough. And so they do stupid illegal things and like Madoff. Anyway, you can read about it. So when is enough? Now for me, I'm like the type of guy where I just love I think there's reverb on this mic, and that is wild. It is like, hello. Should I have another microphone that doesn't have reverb? Jonathan, what do you think? It feels weird hearing myself like this. I feel like I'm in an amphitheater. It's fine, though. So I like to scare people. I've grown up, to me, there's nothing funnier than people getting scared. As a matter of fact, like, even me getting scared, please don't do it. I'm too old now for this, but, like, there was, like, over the years, like, me getting scared, I think it's hilarious. So people would always scare me because I laugh. I don't swear at them. I don't lash out irrationally. I just think it's hilarious. So anybody else getting scared, I just love it. My sister and I, we busted into my parents' room one night when we were far too old to be doing that. We scared them to death. I thought my dad was going to kill us, like legitimately. He like ran out of his room at us. That was wild. And so like I have this thing in my head, and I just never know when enough is enough. So like we're going to do a microphone roulette again, and here we go. Oh, there we go. That feels much better. So I'm dating Esther at this point. No, were we married? We were dating, and she stayed with me. It's amazing. And so my friend, there was one time where I was driving in my friend's car, and we're just having a great old time, and then he slammed the brake and punched the door, which is a horrifying feeling when someone does that, because you literally feel like you've been hit by another car. So he slams the brake, and it scared me to death, and I just thought it was the funniest thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to do this. Now, I'm in the car with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and she's been in car accidents, and so that's like a trauma point. It's a trigger. It's maybe some underlying PTSD that she probably needs to work through. But at the time, this wasn't good. So in my head, this is like amazing. So we get off this exit, and I am already like laughing because I can feel that this is going to be a great moment. And so like I'm trying to hold it together. She's talking. I have no idea what she's talking about. We're rolling up to this red light, and I slammed the brake and punched the door so hard I scared myself, like legitimately. Like I was like, oh, did I really break something? And I looked over, and like Esther had yelled and like had gone forward and like braced herself as if we have just been in a massive car accident. And like I'm dying. I was already laughing, so there was no way I was gonna get this back. And so I'm like laughing hysterically. She bursts into tears. I mean, immediately, just like crying. And I'm like, oh, that's not how I saw this going. And then she looks at me with like tear-filled eyes, and she's like, how could you do this to me? And like, don't ever do that again. And she like curled up into a ball in the car and kind of just looked out the window, and I just felt terrible. I had to hold in my laughter for quite some time. I don't think I've done it since. I have scared you. I have. I did. She's done it to me too. Yeah, that's the thing. Nothing is fair. So anyway, I just never know when enough is enough. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to our money, when it comes to our things, if we're not careful, we won't actually know when we have enough. Like, when do I actually have enough? And what we actually risk is what we'll risk what we have and what we need for what we don't have and what we don't need. Like, we are amazing at this. We are amazing at like agreeing to toxic relationships. We're so good at it. We're amazing. We will stay in toxic relationships because we just don't know when enough is enough. Like, we will put an extra, I've never done this, I promise you, but we'll put an extra $100 in the FanDuel if you have a gambling problem. Stop doing that. It never works. Gambling companies make money because you always lose, okay? So just leave that for you. But we'll think, like, this time I'm definitely going to hit it. I'm going to hit this, like, 9-leg parlay. I'm going to pay off my house. It's going to be amazing. We'll keep moving the goalposts. Like, we'll start to say, like, oh, no, I'm going to stop. I'll stop doing this X, Y, and Z thing on this time, and then that time comes, you're like, well, okay, well, maybe I can just go a little while longer, and we'll continually move the goalpost. If you don't know when enough is enough, you'll live your life under, like, this guise of, like, comparison all of the time. So every time you hit another milestone, you hit a goal, you get this thing you've been striving for, you finally buy the car without your parents' help, and you're like so proud of yourself for like a day. And then you get to the red light, and you look over at the person next to you in the car that kind of looks your age, but their car is clearly like 10 years newer, and you're thinking to yourself, man, what do I got to do to get that car? What do I got to do to get that house? What do I got to do to get that job? You get a promotion, and you finally, now you're not like necessarily a manager yet, but you're one step above where you were, and now you're like, you finally did it. Like, you got like extra money, and it like feels really great. And then like a couple days go by, and now you're like at lunch or in the break room, and you're like, I know I'm smarter than that person. Why are they a manager and I'm not? Like, why do they make that money and I don't? And if we're not careful, we will risk what we have and what we need for what we do not have and do not need. So we have to ask ourselves, do I know when enough is enough? And now, again, this series is not a series about building wealth. It is not a series about necessarily just like money what it really is. It's about establishing our priorities in a way that honors God. Now, again, this is not new. This is not an American or Western problem. This has been something that all of human history has had to deal with, this idea that enough is never enough. Jesus even talks about it in Scripture. He says this, he's like, literally, it's this, like the second part of the Sermon on the Mount. He goes through this whole thing like, blessed are the poor in spirit, theirs is the kingdom of God. Blessed are the peacemakers. Like, it's just like so poetic. And then he goes into this thing in Matthew 6, verse 19 through 24. And he just basically cuts to the chase. He's like, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moths and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moths and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For your treasure is, there your heart will also be. He goes on, he says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Then he ends it, and he says, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. This is wild. What essentially what Jesus is calling his listeners at the time to do, and I believe he's still calling us to do the same, he's essentially calling us to be atheists to our culture. He's essentially calling us to literally be an atheist to the culture around you. That is ultimately what God is doing here, because who Jesus is talking to is predominantly a Jewish audience. Now, the Jewish people at this time are under severe Roman oppression. The tax system is jacked up. It's unfair. Most of them are very poor unless they're like the religious leaders or the tax collectors. Then they're making a lot of money. But for all intents and purposes, this is a highly oppressed people group. Life's not fair. Life's never fair. And Jesus doesn't say to them, life's not fair, get it together, like we get it, we should go overthrow the government. He doesn't say that. He says the same thing to an oppressed group. Don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth. They're oppressed, but he still understands that the human condition is to always want more. Now, in this time period, the signs of wealth was not a high bank account. They didn't have a bank. It was actually just clothing. It was like if you had like the fine Gucci linen and you had the stuff, like if you had purple dyed clothes, big thing back then. Purple dye was expensive, so anybody walking around with purple clothes was like super rich. And so clothing, fabrics, precious metals, those were the things that were like it was a sign of just abundant wealth. And what would end up happening is there's nowhere else to store this stuff except in your house. And what would happen is that you'd store your fabrics, and if you don't check it every once in a while, moths get in and they eat up the fine linen. And now it's destroyed, and it's terrible, and no one wants that. You're losing things of value. Rust would corrode the metal. And so Jesus is basically saying, like, hey, don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. We're going to get to the second part in a little bit. But no matter the level of oppression or pressure that you live under, no matter the level, the pull of the human soul will always be to find some more satisfaction. It will always be the pull. If you have a lot, you will always compare yourself to someone who has more. If you have a little, you will always compare yourself to someone who has more. That human condition never leaves. This idea that if I just make a little more, if I just work a little harder, I'm finally going to get that thing. It is a fallacy of our Western world. Hard work is great. Hard work to achieve more and then work harder is a fallacy if you think that that is going to bring you some semblance of satisfaction. What it does do very well is it puts you on a rat race to tiredness, burnout, and life destruction. Now, the key verse in all of this is that you cannot serve both God and mammon. Now, mammon is not a word that we use. Some translations actually did change it to money. But mammon, this word in a lot of translations actually isn't translated. They left it because mammon was like a token word. What it really means is like possessions. It's the things that I possess. Now, and so this is why it's very important that we don't just think of it as money, because mammon, it's property and possessions. Now, there is nothing wrong with property and possessions. There's nothing wrong with money. Money is a neutral thing. There's no morality in money or property in and of itself. It's just a thing that's out there. There's like, if someone tells you that money is evil, they're wrong. Money's not evil, it's just money. It's just, if like houses aren't evil, it's just property. And so, but what is evil is when the mammon becomes a rival God. You see, because the trick of mammon is that the spirit of mammon gets you to think that if I get this, I will be happy. That is the trick. If I can get this, then I'm going to be happy. If I get that degree, I'm going to be happy. If I get that house, I'm going to be happy. If I get that car, I'm going to be happy. If I get into that school, I'm going to be happy. If I get the degrees, if I just get that thing, I'm going to be happy. It is a fallacy. It will make you happy for a moment, and then you'll find in a month you're the same anxiety-filled person that you were before you had the thing, because the spirit of mammon never satisfies. And so what Jesus is saying is you cannot serve both God and mammon. You cannot say, I love God, but I also am going to strive to get all of these great things. Now, this is tough, because again, we live in a world where striving for great things is abundantly celebrated. And before you think that I'm a crazy person, what I'm not saying is like, quit school, let's go, and we'll all just have the same mom. It'll be perfect. It'll be amazing. It'll be disgusting. Like, let's just do that. We'll just get a little compound, and we'll all live together and just forget all the culture. No, that's not what I'm saying. But the love of mammon will destroy your life. So we can't erase ourselves from the culture. we can't neglect the fact that, like, if I want to succeed and have a manageable life, I do need a job. I need a place to live. I need shelter. I need clothing. All of these things are basic human needs. So what do? The first thing is we have to manage the mammon. We have to manage the mammon. Now, I've talked about it before. Planting things is not like in our, we're not great at it, like gardens, but this past year we did. We did it. It was amazing. We had so many vegetables. We didn't know what to do with it. We had basil just growing like crazy. It was like the promised land in our backyard. It was incredible. And then you plant tomatoes. I don't think no one in our house likes tomatoes, but you plant them because it's a garden and a garden needs tomatoes. So we plant tomatoes, and then you're supposed to train the tomatoes to go up a trellis, if you will. I don't know anything about this, so we put the tomato plant in. I just stuck the trellis over it, thinking like, okay, we're good. And then we walked away for weeks. We'd water it, but we never touched the tomato plant until it was time to harvest said tomatoes. And so you go out there after a few weeks, and literally the tomato vines are everywhere. Like, they are just like, it is amazing. And when you don't follow directions, what happens? It's like incredible. And so we had tomato plants that were invading our jalapenos. I'm pretty sure like some things were like a little bit weird looking because the tomatoes got too close to everything. And it was insane. The same thing happens with strawberries. You have to train strawberries. I don't know if you know this, but you can. We still don't know how, but you can train them. And so we planted strawberries thinking that there's no way that the two of us are going to get strawberries. And what do you know? Like, it was honestly, like, it was amazing. It was like heaven on earth, like strawberries literally everywhere, taking over. Now, did we plant the strawberries in the garden? Of course not. We put them in our front landscaping. No, who knows? Who knows? Because it was never going to work. We just figured it was going to be a dead bush in our front. Who cares? But no, we had strawberries in our front. It was awesome. Odd. It was an odd move. But strawberries, if you don't train strawberries, they literally take over everything. And it becomes a problem. Now the thing that's supposed to be great is actually a nuisance. The thing that's supposed to be like beneficial and nutritious and help you and be like the source of food is now a problem that you need to take care of. And now you're finding yourself cutting things away. You're actually chopping the bush down. You're doing all these things and now you make yourself think, oh, this is what everybody does. You cut half the tomato plant away. It's like, no, you just don't know what you're doing. Like, that's the issue. And mammon, the spirit of mammon, works exactly the same way. If you do not manage the mammon, if you do not manage that thing inside of you that says, if I don't get this, I'm going to be happy, I can promise you it becomes your God. Unmanaged, it will definitely become your God, because what goes unmanaged will start to manage you. So just a couple questions to ask yourself. What direction are my finances going? Like, have you ever told your mammon what direction to go? No matter how much you make, no matter how little you make. When's the last time you sat down and you've taken stock? Been like, okay. Now, again, if you came thinking that, like, this is going to be fire and brimstone and he's going to call angels down, it's like, no. When's the last time you've done a monthly budget? Okay? Anyway, what direction are my finances going? What is the trellis that is directing your finances? What are the safeguards that you have set up around your life that help you make financial decisions? It's super important because it honors God when you tell your stuff what direction it's going to go. It actually honors God. You see, because many people, they actually get managed by their mammon because they've not made a decision to tell the mammon where to go. If you don't tell your stuff what direction to go, and the simplest practical way to do this is to literally sit down and map out a budget, no matter how much you make or how little you make. It honors God. Because what ends up happening, and this is why credit card companies are so successful, because they know. It's like they read this. I promise you they did. Chase sat down and they're like, oh my gosh, like, you can't love both God and mammon. Here's what we're going to do. 24.9% APR, and no one's going to pay their balance. And we will be the mammon. And so then what ends up happening, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have the money for this thing right now, but I'm going to buy it." That doesn't honor God. Some of the biggest sins in our culture are materialism, greed, and worry. And they're like all married to each other. It's a gross relationship. We love materialism, greed, and worry. We have whole industries set up so that if you want something, have it now and pay later. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. It's amazing. Manage your mammon. Next thing we see that Jesus talks about is you have to manage your treasure. I love this. He says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal." Again, Jesus is attacking the default goal of humanity, which is to make money and find safety. Now, the word he uses there for store up, it literally means like to practice. It's a practice that Jesus is talking about, which is actually pretty important. Treasures on earth, he's describing the practice of selfishness and covetousness. That's what he's describing. He's literally describing the practice of living a selfish life, which sounds harsh because it is. Okay? Because moths, rust, and thieves, they win every single time, and they are the products of a life lived for accumulation. Now, moths, in this sense, they represent essentially nature. Now, nature, if you don't know this, nature is ruthless, and it always wins. It will always win. Nature will protect itself, and it will always win. Okay? And this is what's so important, because what we will do is we'll set up so many safeguards to protect ourselves. We'll protect our finances, we'll protect our things. And then in our last house, chipmunks were like the worst things that have ever happened in my life. Like, chipmunks are horrible. I don't know why they were created. I don't know why. This is one of those things where if are you a creationist or are you an evolutionist? It's like, well, there's no way that God created chipmunks. There's just no way. It's like chipmunks and cats. It's like there's no way that a good God did that and was like, this is good. There's no way. So it's either a result of the fall or something else. Anyway, so chipmunks will literally get everywhere because that's what they're created to do. They'll get into your siding, they'll get into your walls, they'll get into your ceiling, and they destroy everything. They're awful. There was one day where I was so sick of it, I put a bucket out. I was looking online how to get rid of chipmunks for cheap. And I don't have a gun. So I was like, how am I going to do this? So imagine me out in my backyard with a gun trying to shoot a chipmunk. That's crazy. Anyway, I put a 5-gallon pail out with water, a ramp up, a stick across with peanut butter on it, and then a ramp down. So the chipmunk thinks, this is awesome. And then it gets on the stick and rolls over and drowns. Okay, so I put it out there. My neighbor comes over almost immediately, she was watching me, and she's like, "Oh, I noticed that you were trying to kill your chipmunks." I'm like, "Well, yeah, because they're gonna be in my room soon, so I don't want that." And then she gave me this powder stuff to put around my house. I was like, "I don't pray with crystals, lady. This isn't gonna work. What is this gonna do? Powder?" They're laughing at me, the stupid squirrels. But I did it because she didn't want me to kill the chipmunks, so I dumped the thing, and I'm just walking around my house pouring powder, and then I see chipmunks run by. I'm like, oh my God. And so it's it doesn't matter how, it doesn't, I don't care where you live, what you have, or what you're trying to get. If you lived in LA, the Palisades wildfire, they burned down the multi-million-dollar homes as much as they burned down the $200,000 homes, okay? Nature will always win. It is ruthless. And so what Jesus is saying is don't store up treasures in heaven, because if you mismanage your treasure, nature can destroy it. It's you can work so hard, blood, sweat, and tears, and then in a flash, you lose everything. And if all of your treasures are stored up in this thing that you've built on earth, it will destroy your existence. He goes on, and he's like, rust. You realize that time
is the most limited resource that we have. Every second that goes by. They say that when your kid is born, you have 900 weeks from their birth to their 18th birthday when they're out of high school and they leave you. 900 weeks is not a lot of time. Like that gives you anxiety. By the time that they're 9, that means that you only have like 450 more weeks to go. You're halfway there. I remember when my son turned 10, I started to get like nervous. It's like, oh my, are we doing enough? Like, does he know enough? Like, should we do some Bible verse memory? Like, are we sure that this kid gets it? It's like, and you start to get nervous because time is a limited resource. And rust, that's what like time, there is corrosion over time. Every day that passes, time is undefeated. It's never lost. Like, if we want to get a little more depressing, like you and I are going to die. Like, time is going to win. Like, time will win. Hopefully, we make it past the life expectancy. That's always like a great goal. If you get to the 100 club, it's amazing. But like, you will die. Like, probably 99.9% of us will not see like 103. You know what I mean? Like, we like, time wins. And what Jesus is saying is like time is not set up to support your treasure. It's actually set up to take everything away from you. Time is set up to win. And it almost sounds elementary. It's almost like, yeah, we get it. Okay, like nature is, yeah, sure. Like, don't build on the coast. I get it. It's like, okay, like time, oh, sure, we're all going to die. But what's so wild is as practical as it is, no one lives their lives thinking that at any moment this could just be gone. No one lives their lives thinking that like time is a limited resource. No one does that. They're like, how can I get more? And mismanaged treasure, time will destroy it. Then he takes it a step further, and he says, thieves can break in and steal. Now, the break in there, their homes were built out of mud, essentially. And so literally the words he uses are like dig in, like thieves can dig in. What would happen is you'd store like your most prized possessions in your house, and then thieves would come during this time and literally dig holes in your house, come in and steal. That'd be nuts. Anyway, we had a break-in in Rochester, because now we live in the city, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? It's like, we lived in Chilai, just break-ins all the time. It's insane. So like that was a joke, but we did get a break-in. It was horrifying, to be honest with you. It's very scary. I had a hole in my tire. I had to get it patched. And so my friends, and then it was insane. So I left at like 11 p.m. because that's the perfect time to go get a hole in your tire patched. I was like, this seems normal. And so then we had to drive to a Walmart to get a piece. And so it's like, I get home at like 1 in the morning. Insane. It should have taken 30 minutes, took 2 hours. I get home, and the den is like cold. And I was like, that's odd. Like, so I like close up, and then I go to bed. I wake up in the morning, I go back out to the den, and it's still freezing. And I was like, this is like bizarre. And I look over, and like the window's wide open in our den. And then I'm hearing my son upstairs with Esther. This will make Esther seem like not good, but she's just a very, like, when she's sleeping, don't talk to her. And so he's like, no, Mom, remember I woke you up in the middle of the night and told you there was a man with a mask in our house? And I'm hearing this and seeing the window wide open, and like, because I got home, the door was ajar and the window was open. I was like, that's odd. No, sorry, I didn't see the window yet. Saw it in the morning. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm putting this together. So now it's like, we're like 8 hours after. I go grab a baseball bat. And like, he's hiding in the basement. Like, and if he is, what are we going to do? Like, I got one swing, and if you miss, it's over. And so like, I like go down, and I'm walking around. I'm like, oh my God, we had someone. And like, we're pretty convinced we know who it is. And they moved because like they were scared of me. And so like, but like, there is something so unnerving about someone in your house. There's something very odd about someone messing with your things. It's odd when you have to deal with a thief breaking in. What's so crazy though is if you mismanage your treasure, you will start to get into relationships with humans that are actually thieves. You will build relationships with people that don't have your best interest in mind. You will start to think that, oh, if I just get in with this network, if I just do this thing, but no. At the end of the day, if you mismanage your treasure and your sole focus is how can I build my network better? Who are the people that I have to have around me? Who's going to be, what business lunch do I need to go to? At the end of the day, if your priorities are set up where your network is the thing that's going to bring you satisfaction, you are going to face betrayal. You will find yourself in the midst of scams. You will get backstabbed. Humans are horrible gods. They just are. There is not a human on the planet that can handle the weight of your worship. And what Jesus is saying is if you mismanage your treasure and you store up your treasures on earth, there will be humans who break in and steal your joy. They steal your peace. They set you up poorly. They don't have your best interest at heart. And they're sometimes maybe they're just doing the best they can. But they cannot be the source of your satisfaction. And then you have to say to yourself, well, Jesus, where do we go from here? Because when we mismanage treasure, our goals become our gods. And so you'll sit down at the beginning of the year with your spouse or your friends. You'll be like, all right, here's what I want to accomplish this year. And goals are great. Life without goals is pretty frivolous. But you got to be careful because goals will become gods. And you'll start to worship the thing you are chasing after. I'm horrible with goals. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to go to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. I'm going to eat protein only. I'm going vegetarian. Let's do this thing. Esther's like, you need to slow down. You haven't drank a cup of water in 2 months. Start there. I'm like, no, but I got to do the 75 hard or it's not real. It's like, no one's asking you to do that though. No one's asking you to do 70. Everyone knows. It's like we're gonna do fasting. I'm gonna fast water only. She's like, water only. You don't drink water. What do you mean water only? You drink coffee as if it's water. You are going to die. But if we're not careful, our goals will become our gods, and we need to manage our contentment. Because then Jesus says, store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. And no one even wants to hear that. It's like, oh, come on. Make it a little bit better. Heaven is just too, what do you mean? It's just good feelings. What are we talking about? Heaven. I can't even picture heaven. We'll store up my treasures in heaven. And he's like, where moths and rust, they can't even get there. Thieves can't break in and steal. Store up for yourselves. Find contentment in your worship of me. It is impossible to be content when you're managing your relationships with mammon or managing your treasures with mammon. You will never be content in the Western rat race of success. You will never find it. I don't care how much money you make right now. More will not make you more content. There's always a threshold for how happy things will make you. And if you're not careful, you will constantly chase after contentment and things that were never meant to carry the weight of your discontent. You cannot find yourself there. Again, credit card debt does not honor God, and it's a terrible way to find contentment. It might feel good to get the thing you can't afford now and pay it later. But if you can't pay for it, you are in a lot of trouble. And again, you might be sitting here right now and you're in the thick of that feeling. Every month, one of the statements is coming. You're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This is mammon. It is chasing after you relentlessly. Get rich quick schemes. They do not honor God. It's a terrible way to find contentment. Again, you want to find contentment? Buckle up. It's about to be crazy. Put together a spending plan. Reevaluate your perspective. Just wherever you're at in life, just sit down and be like, okay, I bring this amount in. So this is the amount that has to go out. And adjust your lifestyle to match your spending. I can promise you, you are now managing your mammon. If you've never done that and you're at the end of the month I don't know what we're going to do. It's no. Proactively manage the stuff that's coming in. It honors God when you make the hard decision of living life differently. Not looking to the right or to the left, but saying, God, this is what you have put into my hands. It may be small, it may be much, but I'm going to be faithful with the little that you have given me. It honors God when we tell our money where to go. It builds contentment because it actually puts life into perspective. You do it and you're like, okay, this is a little much. I'm going to have to stop going to Starbucks. I'm going to have to stop eating out. I'm going to have to stop. Maybe I have to cancel one of my 8 subscriptions. I don't have to watch Hulu, Netflix, and Max. I can pick one. Maybe I need to make some tough decisions, and it will adjust your lifestyle, but it honors God. If you have credit card debt, I promise you, build a plan to pay down the debt. Do whatever you can to build a spending plan that helps you pay more than the minimum. The minimum payment will have you 90 wondering why you never paid more. It honors God. It may seem practical. It might seem a little bit not churchy. I'm just letting you know that the spirit of mammon will never pay off credit card debt. It'll just give you some more. If you have high interest student loans, build a plan to pay down your loans. Do not be in bad debt. It does not honor God. Student loans are a fact of life. Getting an education, it honors God. But build a plan to manage your debt. And then practice treasures in heaven. Can I become an atheist to the culture around me? Can I be content worshiping God? Can I be content that with whatever I have in my life at any given moment, saying God, no matter what happens, I'm going to fix my focus on you. No matter what you give me, no matter what's taken away, no matter what harm comes to me, no matter where I find myself, my primary focus is I'm storing up whatever treasures I have in you. Can we be a church that stores treasures in heaven? Where you look and you say, I know that God is the one who provides. Start there. I know that God is the one who opens the doors that need to be open. There's not a business lunch you can go to that can beat the wisdom that God gives you. Can I be content knowing that God is the one who gives wisdom to give me the answers to the decisions that I need to make? You don't need to call 8 friends every single time. Sometimes you need to wake up in the morning and pray and say, God, I need clear direction. I need clear guidance. I'm putting my sole focus on you. God, you can take it away. You can change it. You can wreck it. Everything can go south. Everything I am belongs to you anyway. Can you be content knowing that he is the one that owns a cattle on 1,000 hills? So God, if you have it, entrust me with even a little bit, I promise to be faithful with it. Can I be content shifting my focus on the one who holds the world in the palm of his hand? James, who's the brother of Jesus, he wrote this in his letter. It's the James verse. I didn't even write it down in my notes, and that's bad, and I don't have it memorized. He says, this is what James, the brother of Jesus. James was probably there when Jesus said, store up the whole thing. He's probably annoyed with his brother at some point. But he says, yet you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow. He's like, don't even worry about a year from now. Miss me with the 10-year plans. Have fun. Get the life planner out. Do the thing. Make it look great. Color it. Decorate the cover. Amazing. James is like, you don't know what your life will be like tomorrow. For you are just a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes away. Thank you for the encouragement, James. But think about it. All we have is right now. This moment, at this time. As dark as it might seem, tomorrow is not promised. So the idea of worrying about tomorrow, miss me with it. All I can do is say, God, you've given me this vapor of a life. Help me to honor you every single day. You've given me this vapor. Help me to live my life according to the plans that you have laid out for me. Push can come to shove. Come and go. Everything I have, I need it to belong to you. And he says, if you store up your treasures in heaven, you don't have to worry about tomorrow. Because the God who provides for the birds of the air and the fish of the sea, how much more will he provide for his children? So church, May we be a place that stores up their treasures in heaven, where we understand and we can ask ourselves, what direction am I going? Because mammon and God are going entirely different directions. So ask yourself today, am I chasing the spirit of mammon, or am I submitting myself to the Spirit of God? May we be a church that fixes our eyes on Jesus. Let's pray together. God, we thank you that we are in a spot where it is actually impossible to serve two masters. So God, for those of us who have found ourselves in a place where discouragement, where we are in a tough moment, God, I pray that your Holy Spirit would reorient our priorities today. Over the next couple days, give us wisdom with our things. For those of us who need perspective shifts, God, I ask that your loving kindness would give us perspective shifts. For those of us who need to readjust where our money goes so that it goes in a way that honors you, God, I ask that your Holy Spirit would give us the boldness and the courage to make even hard decisions with our finances. And God, we thank you that when we store our treasures in heaven, where everything filters through you, God, we thank you that you are faithful to protect, you are faithful to provide, you are faithful to give us for everything we need in this moment, right now. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen.